something bad to us, we are going to do things to you that have never been done before.
My fucking video means I've got. Well, there you go. That was a bit of a shock, folks. How are you? Nice to see you. Just as I hit this go button, my picture dropped out. So my apologise. How are you, folks? Have you had a good day? Last night we were in Mannum. Today we are 700 odd kilometres east of Mannum and sitting right beside the Murray River at the beautiful, I'm going to get this wrong, Watiki Resort, caravan and camping resort, not far from Echuca, about 30 minutes outside of Echuca. I'm here for the My Place Victoria camp out, which is a huge event. It's the second one. The first happened last year around this time. And already My Place aficionados are spilling in from all over the country. And they have come from all over the country, not just Victoria. So it's wonderful to see so many great My Place people turning up. A lot have turned up a day early, like we have, and are setting themselves up. Tomorrow is a big day. Tomorrow night is a very big night, and Saturday will be another very big day for My Place as well. We aim to bring you as much of it as we possibly can. However, there is a few limitations. Pardon me. I better have a scotch and make sure those hiccups go away. There is no phone connection here at all. We only have internet connection, and I'm waiting now to see how long it takes for this to drop out because of Starlink. And we might get full coverage. We might not. This is a very well-treed area as well. So we'll see how it all goes for tonight. But at least we're on the air, and we're only on the air because I was sitting down with Darren Bergworth 20 minutes ago until Vince turned up and said, you know what time it is? So I'm being hassled. And yes, third scotch in case you were counting. So anything could happen tonight. Could be a lot of fun. Who was first in the room? Paul, nice to see you, mate. Good to have you on board. Dusty's in too. Andrew Smith, nice to have you in. The gorgeous Sunflower, I hope you and Rick are doing well, love. I hope things are going well up your part of the world. And the lovely Aussie Sue, saying g'day to everybody. Vince, Aussie Sue says hello to you. Don't wave. I haven't got a camera, you goose. This is where you talk now. Yeah.
Got to keep the joke.
Got to try and here, and so I just keep talking until it comes back. That's what you do in radio. If the transmitter turns off, you never know that it's turned off. You just keep talking.
So I actually got to see it this time, so to see what it looks like on this end.
So now time it, because you're the only one wearing a watch, and we'll see how long it takes for the next dropout to happen. Why that dropout happens is because the satellites are moving over the top of us. We have a very limited horizon view of where we are. So the horizon is basically the top of the trees, the top of the buildings and everything that's around us. And this is how Starlink works. So if you're considering it, you need to take this into consideration. Starlink does not work around trees very well, does not work around high buildings very well, unless you have the Starlink receiver on top of the building, and there are no taller buildings around it. Otherwise, the patchwork of sky that you see is all the satellite time you get as the satellites pass over. Now, the satellites don't follow one straight after the other immediately. There are a couple of minutes between each sweep, or at least 30 seconds between each sweep or string as they come over the top of any receiver. And that gap that you're seeing when we drop out is when the satellite that we are on loses contact with us as it goes over the horizon, and the new one hasn't come up above the horizon yet for us to attach onto. So that's why we get these little breaks in transmission. So have I explained that for you?
Very well.
You're happy?
Yeah.
Right, okay. So Vince is going to be part of the show tonight and actually here. And the reason I've invited him onto the show is because I did all the driving today.
Very good too. I got to sit in the car and just sit there and I'm just scrolling through saying, oh, did you know this or did you know that? He's going, yep. And then we got into a big discussion about Ukraine and Palestine, and he gave me a massive history lesson, of which 99% of it went in one ear and out the other, just letting you know. So,
well, there's a lot of information in that particular story that it does take a bit to get a grip on. But it was a lovely drive over from Mannum today. We came through Oyen, Sea Lake, and then up onto the Murray Valley Highway, just joining it around Swan Hill. And then we headed east from there along the Murray Valley Highway until we got to Echuca, where we eventually found a Woolworths because we discovered, well, we had a thankfully, we had a brainstorm going into Echuca saying, gee, I wonder what we can eat tonight at the caravan park. And I'm thinking, well, if it's anything like caravan parks I've known before, there'll be nothing to eat unless you bring it. So we made a beeline for the nearest supermarket and stocked up. Speaking of which, I'll have another drink.
Yeah, that was because directly across the road was a liquor store. So,
Dan Murphy's.
Yeah, Dan Murphy's.
We're always looking for sponsorship, Dan. Just saying. But Vince was very good for throwing up a few things that I haven't spoken about that have happened over the last few days. And I suppose one of the things that we can speak about now is Lydia Thorpe. Now, yesterday, Lydia Thorpe went mad because Pauline Hanson had the audacity to question under Section 44, I think it is.
Yes.
The eligibility of Fatima Payman. I think she is Afghanistani. Do you say that? Afghanistani?
Yes.
So she's from Afghanistan, but they're now questioning her eligibility under the rules to represent Australians. Has she been naturalised? Has she become an Australian citizen? And has she been an Australian citizen for a certain period of time?
And has she renounced
her
dual
citizenship? That is the issue.
Yeah.
So you might remember some years ago, One Nation, who interestingly have brought this up today or yesterday, and that's where Lydia Thorpe tore up the motion that Pauline Hanson offered to the Senate to try and actually find out whether or not Fatima Payman has renounced her Afghan citizenship. If she hasn't, that's fine. You can be a dual citizen, but you cannot represent Australians in the parliament as a dual citizen. And you'll recall a few years ago when One Nation got busted with somebody like that, that One Nation kicked back.
1988.
Was it that long ago?
Yep.
Wow, it only feels like yesterday to me. But there were, I think, something like 12 senators.
I know that was a second killing. That's more recent.
Oh, well, that's why.
Right, but the initial one that happened in 1988 was for one of the senators, Elizabeth, I think her name was, first name. And effectively, that was when the High Court made a decision to say that England was a foreign power.
Yep.
Right, which is directly against what the Constitution says. But, some constitutional people argue that anyway.
Yeah, well, they were very good at the time making laws that suited themselves for the parliament, rather than for the whole country. So that's how that sort of worked its way out. Anyway, Lydia Thorpe has done her nana yesterday. I think it was a great performance. Performance being the operative word. What was behind that performance? Well, she managed to get herself suspended from the Senate for the rest of the sitting period. So until tomorrow, Friday, she can't sit in the Senate. Today, 27 bills were rammed through the Senate prior to, because they pushed the one that we're particularly interested in, the social media bill. They pushed to have debate gagged on the social media bill. They were able to limit discussion on the social media bill and debate on the social media bill to 1 hour, which is going to start about now, about 7:30. They're going to debate for an hour, and then they're going to vote on this very important topic. What else did they jam through today? And more particularly, we know that the no votes, well, it's a slim margin, but it is a margin. Lydia Thorpe can't vote. She's had herself thrown out of the Senate, therefore she cannot vote. That is a no vote that will go begging.
Yeah.
Let that sink in. How much of a margin do we have? How many politicians do you trust? What happens if Lambie all of a sudden decides after the outburst yesterday that she's not going to support it, but she doesn't tell anybody until the vote tonight? What happens is we wind up with a ban on social media for anybody under 16 years.
When we're watching, it actually you just freeze.
Oh, okay, right.
So when you drop off, you just freeze. And if we're doing a Friday night thing, I just take over for a minute. But anyway, what we were saying was that they're putting all this legislation in to try and limit this, but they have no way of actually doing it yet either. Right? They're not saying how they're going to do it. I said the other day, there's just off the top of my head, I picked out about started at A and ended at I, right, in how they could actually do this. But every single one of those options that could prove that somebody under the age of 16 was on those social media is all breaking other laws, like the Telecommunications Act and decrypting packets and taking snapshots off your camera and all this sort of stuff. So, and there's that brilliant piece about the Pornhub.
Oh, yeah, that's great. Have you, maybe you haven't seen that, folks. Beautiful piece that came out of Senate estimates. The question regarding this ban in particular, so banning all social medias for people under 16, or 16 and under it is.
Yeah.
Beg your pardon, that's a big point, 16 and under. So aside from how do you actually do that, which we discussed today, they require a digital ID or something similar.
Yeah, which they say they're not going to implement.
Yeah.
They've got that said. They said they're not doing that.
But you, in your submission, made 11 points to the government saying this is how they can do it.
Yeah, well, that's the only way I can see they can do it.
So do you want to take us through some of those?
Well, one of those is, it basically means they're going to spy on you. Because let's say that very simply, if I sit down as a 62, almost 63-year-old man at my computer and I sign in to a Facebook page or something like that, get out of my seat 30 seconds later and a 12-year-old sits in that seat, how the hell are they going to know that? The only way they can do that is by viewing you, right? By taking a snapshot from your from the camera, or they might look at the change in the way that you type and the way you move the mouse, right, and have AI check that out, or they might start decrypting the packets that you're quick. We may have to end this stream a little early, guys, because it's going to start dropping out a bit earlier than we expected.
What we're going to do, we brought the Starlink down so that we could do some live stuff from here, and of course Mount Gambier next weekend, and Pinaroo on Wednesday night? Tuesday night. So folks, if you're in the Mallee region, anywhere close to Pinaroo, and you want to catch up, we're going to be at the Golden Grain Hotel in Pinaroo on Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So look forward to seeing you there. In the chat. We had a bit of breakfast with Pete from Pinaroo. Thank you so much for the gifts and the garlic.
Yeah, the car smells great.
God. The car smells magnificent.
Beautiful.
I don't know. If you don't like garlic, you won't like the car. But Pete has a large property. And aside from the wheat that hasn't gone terribly well this year, he also grows garlic. And he gave us a box of garlic to bring to the My Place event here this weekend. And for a gold coin donation, you can go home with as much garlic as you want, really. Thank you for your generosity with that, Pete. I really do. Thank you, too, for the little presents that you gave both Vince and I.
Indeed.
Can't thank you enough, mate. You're a very generous human being. And we're looking forward to coming back to your town next week and spending a day or two with you. And I say a day or two because unless there is a better reason, somebody rings up and says, hey, listen, why don't you come to Narracourt and do a show, or somewhere over that side, then we are quite likely to wind up at a Vietnam Veterans Retreat, which is essentially, I don't think I'm giving away too many secrets. We'll be sleeping in a Moscow Circus triaxle caravan or a worker's hut, one of the two. But we'll go and spend the night on a bit of land in the middle of nowhere with a bunch of really good people with no mobile service whatsoever. However, I will record that night and we will upload it when we get to a bit of civilization, and can use the Telstra network to upload while we're moving.
Yeah.
At the moment, we've got we're limited entirely to Starlink. There is no phone service here, and as you can see, barely Starlink. So we had planned to do a lot here over the weekend with Starlink. We'll see how it goes. We might be able to move it to a different location and get something better happening. But we only arrived about an hour ago, so we haven't had a good look around yet either, and set the thing up, or maybe 2 hours ago, set the thing up, and we'll try and make it work. So it'll be a good chat. We look forward to seeing you in Pinaroo and at Mount Gambier next week. And if you are coming to the My Place Victoria campout, and get ready for a big weekend, folks. It's going to be huge. Ulikai will be here. I think Ulikai's arriving tomorrow. He's going to be making a speech. There's Darren Bergwerf is here, obviously. There are quite a few other folks from the My Place management here, if you like.
I heard there's about 15 people coming in with stalls as well on Saturday. So
it's
wonderful. Going to be quite big.
Wonderful. So we have the ability to go around and record all that. And I can send Vince out with one camera, and I can go out with another, and He's going
to trust me with the camera. He's going to trust me with the camera.
I'm going to trust him with a 15-year-old camera.
Oh.
Yep. But we'll give you a bit of a look of what's happening here over the weekend, and Vince is threatening to go kayaking at some stage on the river. So
yeah, right. No,
we'll see how that works out.
That's a no. Right.
So Lydia Thorpe, let's go back to this Lydia Thorpe issue. She has effectively nulled her voice, and therefore all the people she represents in the parliament, over her theatrics yesterday. There is no racist claim. There is no basis to use the word racist when Pauline Hanson queries whether or not Fatima Payman has dual citizenship. That isn't a racist query.
It's actually a legitimate one.
It is a highly legitimate one. Highly legitimate, because so many senators, so many representatives were kicked out until they renounced their citizenship from another country, their dual citizenship. And that worked for England, for America, for Germany, for India,
Roberts
anywhere.
Got kicked out because he was born in India.
Yep.
Right. I think that was around fairly well. Well,
Yeah,
we're back.
and we're back.
Quick. So, but it does mean that they're still ramming this through. Oh, I don't know what the other.
We might have just caught the edge of one. That's the big thing. What is the other 27 pieces of legislation, and is the Electoral Reform Act part of it?
Yeah, and in case you're wondering what that is, that's just tying it up so the two big party bum bird thing currently do is just
Oh, that was a big one.
yeah, we're going to have to cut this short, guys, because obviously there's things. So if we need to disappear, we need to shut it off correctly. But quickly saying, there's all that other legislation that was put through. Why do we need 27 pieces of legislation put through just near Christmas time?
Rammed through in the last sitting day.
Yeah.
Today and tomorrow will be made up of dick pulling and wanking, I suppose, while they wish everybody a Merry Christmas because they're such all good friends. So tomorrow will be a complete waste of time, and it won't matter that they've lost Lydia's voice or vote then, but it may matter tonight. The debate is happening right now. I don't know if it's available online to watch. I seriously doubt it will be, as the Labor government petitioned today heavily to have the whole debate gagged, meaning no discussion whatsoever. Somehow or other, it was stretched out to an hour of debate.
Yeah, they got.
All right. So you get the idea, folks. If you can go and listen to ABC, you might find that they've got the government audio playing, but I doubt it. The government will have made sure that the people know nothing about this until later on tonight, when a news bulletin will tell you what they've decided and whether or not social media will be censored to 16 years and below going forward. Lydia Thorpe, if you happen to live in her electorate, you can thank her for not having your voice in this vote. Why? Because she's an emotional fucktard who likes to get out and carry on for the cameras. All right? The woman doesn't understand what the word racism means. You've got to be fucking stupid to not understand what racism means, but to accuse Pauline Hanson of racism simply by asking about dual citizenship of somebody sitting in the party, that's a theatre act you watched yesterday. Make no doubt about it. Whose side is Lydia Thorpe on? She's just taken your voice and your vote out of the argument by her own actions. Ask yourself, who is she really working for? Because it's not you, the people in her electorate. She's got some other racist thing that's going on in her mind that she's going to try and eke out and play along to. All she has done is silence the voice of every person in her electorate who voted for her. What sort of an idiot does that?
This is another discussion, but this is part of the reason why we need to get people into the parliament, but understanding we know what it means, and it would be being done under duress, right? But we need to get in there so that we can start changing the rules of the game.
Well, like the Liberal and Labor Party have just done regarding parties.
Yeah, and that's the wrong way. That's the wrong direction, because that's exactly what they're trying to stop us from doing. They can see it coming.
They can see what's coming, and they've stopped us from doing it. They make it impossible for an independent to actually get a foothold. All the government money, all the money goes to Labor and Liberal, or to an established party. Nationals get a bit, One Nation will get a bit. What they don't want is another established party. And I think the under duress party should start immediately.
Yeah, the UD.
The UD. All right? We are the under duress party. We know. So all of you constitutionalists who want to stand up and say, oh, you can't go into their system, you.
Yeah, we know.
We know. So. We're not as stupid as you think.
Under duress.
But not one of you has yet come up with a solution. You've come up with all these great fixes, but all of them require an enforcement arm that you don't have. Well, let's get our own enforcement arm. Under duress.
Yeah. So something to think about, guys. So for all those who want to shoot, we understand. We know. We understand the corporatization, etc. But we need to use every weapon that we have on the shelf that is peaceful that we can use.
Yes, Fatima is voting tonight, Shine. Absolutely. She kept her mouth shut through the whole debate and therefore still has a vote. Good. I think she's voting no, thank God. So I'm led to believe she is. So.
But we've got the Liberals and the Labors are both voting together on this. Some have crossed the floor, but not enough, I don't think. So it's very likely going to get passed through the Senate.
Yeah.
But with zero debate. Zero. This should have been debated for weeks, not 1 hour.
Yep.
Anyway.
Somebody's asked, Paul, what's happened to John's union? No idea. Died in the arse, as far as I can tell. But I don't know. He's got some followers like I do. So,
yeah.
I mean, good luck. John's not communicating to me about his union at all. I would tell you if he was, but he's not. It's pretty hard to promote his union when you don't know what it stands for, who's a part of it, and what they think they're going to achieve out of it. And for that reason, I guess people in the past have always thought, oh, it's just the union, they're working for me, and they'll vote regardless without knowing. Well, unfortunately, I've spent a bit of time with John and unions, and I wouldn't vote blindly on anything that's being offered. So, no, I have no idea what's going on with the union. John doesn't talk unless it's to Ricardo, as far as I'm aware. And as far as I'm aware, there's no point in talking to Ricardo. He's given up on everything. As far as I understand, he's lost a lot of his American audience, or access to it at any rate lately. So I don't know. But what's probably more telling is I don't care. Neither should you. It doesn't matter. They poked their head up. They tried to run. They fell over. That's how it works.
Yeah.
I'm not having a go. It's just how it worked.
Having been one of those that ran, right, as an independent, I learnt a lot. And that's now useful in other areas. Right?
Yeah.
So thank you, Ricardo, for that.
That's
great.
I think it gave a lot of people the impetus to start thinking about politics. Australians are very apathetic when it comes to politics. Ricardo, with what he was saying, gave everybody inspiration and hope. And then it fell to shit because he couldn't back it up. He couldn't back his words up with actions. And unfortunately, our movement requires action.
From everybody.
Everybody.
Not just the people who are prepared to go head to toe with these, but everybody needs to start moving forward. And, if we fight amongst ourselves, that's a no-win situation, guys. Not where we need to be. As I said before, we need to use every weapon. And if that means an under duress party or somebody gets in under duress, in their system, that's what we need,
That's what we need.
right?
If you don't understand what it says, what I mean when I say Trojan horse the system, go and look up Trojan horse in history.
Mm.
All right? The only way we can beat this system is to get inside it and turn it upside down, tear it apart and build a new one.
While still doing the other stuff as well.
Yeah, while doing everything else as well. We have to gain control of that parliament and fix it.
Yep.
Okay? And fix it. Not start a new regime, not start a new dictatorial kind of regime.
We've basically got to do a Trump.
We've got to do a Trump.
Yeah, we've got to get enough people coming in there.
We've got to clean out the billabong.
Yeah. Billabong. Yeah, good one. Love it. Love it.
Yep. Well, our billabong stinks. Absolutely stinks. And we don't have a person at the moment brave enough to step out and clean it. Well, I think there are, but they're not involved in politics at the moment.
Mm.
And why aren't they? Because, well, politics and the fucking law and this and that, and the other, you're getting into their system. One of you opposition to this, present me with one solution that gives you an enforcement arm to enforce your solution, and I'll agree with you. But at the moment, not one of you groups, not one of you. You've all got solutions, but you have no enforcement for that solution. And we've proved in the court time and time again that the court doesn't care.
Yep.
The court will do what it wants to protect the court. And what do? You go and appeal the decision to another fucking court.
Now, just to add to this, if the Teals can suddenly come out of nowhere and put in 6 people, why can't the freedom movement come out of nowhere
under duress
and put in 25 or 30?
Yeah.
Because there's enough of us out there that know that we're being taken for a ride.
Yeah. Well, Mr. Bill, I'm going to hold you to this one, mate. Lydia Thorpe isn't owned. I hope you're laughing there or gagging your mouth, because if she's not owned, then she's a fucking idiot. And why would you elect a fucking idiot to represent you? Oh, I beg your pardon. You met politicians?
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't care. That's why we get the shittest people in politics. Oh, it's just an election. Get him out. That bloke wants to do it. Let him do it. This is the result of that sort of mentality when it comes to voting. Oh, I don't care. They're all going to do what they're going to do. Well, they're only going to do what they're going to do if you let them do it. If there is another opportunity to let a party do something for the people, like a party under duress, you just watch what could happen.
Remember that the last federal election that we had, there was 17.5 million voters in the country. 13 million or 13.5 thereabouts actually voted. 4 million people abstained or voted donkey or didn't even vote at all.
Yep.
That tells you something. That alone says, what if those 4 million votes had come in for... But I'm trying to get across the idea that to use every weapon, every tool in the tool shed.
And the Labor and Liberal Party have now organised it so that a new party coming onto the system has a whole heap more trouble getting established.
Yep.
A whole heap more trouble getting funding. A whole heap more trouble getting recognised.
Yep, and has to be there for 12 months beforehand and all this sort of stuff.
So we've blown it this time.
Yep.
We're not going to be able to do it in the next election. All right? You're going to be stuck with Labor or Liberal, and right now it looks like Peter Dutton will get the gig. Because for some reason, the vast majority of Australians don't see there is an alternative. Why can't we give them one? You wanted to give them one with Ricardo. Unfortunately, Ricardo was unable to communicate with you.
Yeah, and the AusFed people and the other independents that ran in the last federal election, there was quite a lot. The trouble is that there was quite a lot.
Yeah, and they were all scattered like a shotgun.
Yeah.
Well, if we're going to run independents and we're going to run a under duress party, how would it be if we got all the independents to preference the under duress party and the under duress party preferenced all the independents?
Yeah, the challenge with that in preferences is that if your preference to you put yourself as number one and then under duress party as number two, right? What happens if the under duress person in that area gets knocked out before your preference gets to them?
Yeah.
And that's the challenge, and that's why the preferential system's got some glitches in it.
Paul's got a point too. He doesn't believe the votes are counted correctly. I think that's probably right. J1, we would release the names of the 28, although now it's 27. One of them's already been released recently.
Not mentioning any radio announcers' names.
Oh, no. No, not at all. In fact, I think Guru's got a T-shirt out.
Has he really?
Yeah, that
Good
says,
on you, Guru.
says release the 28 and it's crossed out 27 on it. So I think that's great. Yeah, release the names. We would do that, absolutely. If they could be found, I can't see any reason why they couldn't be found, because a under duress party who has power in that place can open any door.
Yeah.
Any door.
You've got to get the power first.
But you have to have the power, and the power only comes from you, the people. So do we start an under duress party? Because we know the parliamentary system is flawed, is criminal, is illegal, is unlawful.
And it's corporatized.
And is corporatized.
Yeah, we all know that. But, you know, when you sign or something or whatever, if you're going to law or going into a court, you can always say you're there under duress, right? So...
sign VC at the bottom of anything you don't want to sign.
Correct.
That is under duress, and it makes whatever you've signed unlawful if they were to present it in the court.
How far did we just drift right off topic?
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, okay.
That's how it works.
Guys, look, Carl needs to get back and promote his wonderful face around the place, and he is actually quite an excellent driver. I mean, I managed to very levelly sit there and scroll through all the posts today, etc. Matter of fact, I was doing such a good job of navigating, we totally took a wrong turn. But anyway, so that just made us a better
half an hour,
3/4 of an hour late. Yeah. So
that's all right. It was a lovely portion of Victoria that we drove through around Sea Lake and all that. It was very, very pleasant indeed. And lots of salt. Did you know how much salt is produced out of the Sea Lake area, folks? Cheatham salt comes out of there.
Spoir?
Kang, you're going to have to help me out. Email me, carl@vofhq.com. Who is Spoir?
Yeah.
Spoir.
Yeah, it'll be an acronym for something.
Let me know, mate, because you've got me buggered.
Yep. Also...
oh, okay. He says there's a remedy. Please email me, carl@vofhq.com. I want to see it.
Yep. Anything. We look at everything and anything. Now, also, please, we've got time to kill next week. You want us?
Yeah, I'm floating around. We'll come and visit your place.
Yep.
He eats steak, so do I.
Yep.
Happy to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. So please hit us up, vince@vofhq.com or carl@vofhq.com. If you're interested in having us there, or you want to organise a little get together or whatever, or just even chat about under duress parties, right? Give us an email, because we're going down to the muster on the at Mount Gambier.
Yep, 832 muster next weekend.
Right. So in between that, we're just sort of touring. Right. We had to get him back out on the road. He needed to get moving again. So
I've been looking at the inside of the bus for too long without the outside changing. I can look at the inside of the bus all day, every day, as long as the outside keeps changing.
Yeah. But we must head off tonight and whatever. So keep an eye on what's going on. I'm going to start concentrating on some stuff with the Freedom Broadcasting Network. So if you know of streamers out there who are interested in joining forces a bit and just having another channel that they can use for streaming on, right? Love you to get in contact with me. This is nothing to do with Voice of Freedom. This is the Freedom Broadcasting Network, and it's all about getting our independent media together to work together. So
Vince@vofhq.com. I know that sounds like it's part of Voice of Freedom, but trust me, he's got a different hat on for that.
I can actually fire up a FBN, and we will do an FBN online email address for that shortly.
Very cool. All right, folks, thanks for joining us for part one of what will be a very large weekend. I'm not exactly sure what shape the lives will take. I had hoped that we would be able to do a bit of a get-together tomorrow evening. I get the feeling if I do that, it'll be a bunch of drunks. What we might do is try and do some recordings, do a bit of editing and get it together, and then try and play the whole thing out at some stage tomorrow and over the weekend. Yeah,
so there'll be no Friday night free for all at all tomorrow night. It's going to be we'll be out there just
trying to do it. We'll be recording it, but it'll be in a different location.
Yeah, but there's no way we can get signal to give it to you guys unless everybody piled into this room, and that could be interesting.
Well,
there's a lot of people. They wouldn't all fit.
That's true. They wouldn't, but we don't need to talk to them all.
Yeah, but, they're all having...
that will be the last... Yes, yeah. Audio would probably be the biggest problem. You're right.
Yeah.
We have a lot of
ourselves.
Drunks carrying on. Anyway, it is the Christmas party, so it's what happens this time of year. So if you are coming to it, we can't wait to see you. Where are we? The Wakiti. Wakati, the Wakati Caravan Resort near Echuca, and beautiful part. You probably left it a bit late if you want to come up this weekend. I think there are about 2 sites left. So if you want to come, book quick. Most people...
And there it is.
And there it is. We're back, and then we're not.
Yep, because now, after we've spent all day driving, and you know what happens when we go driving?
We see dickheads on the road.
Yeah, that'll be the one.
We do. But here's one we didn't see on the road. We saw this one in a car park. Just so you got a good look. So that's the dickhead of the day, folks. Enjoy. Have yourself a bloody good night. We will talk to you at some point over the next 24, 48 hours or so. Connections being what they are, at some point we're probably going to need to go for a run into Echuca to get more beer. Rest assured there'll be a live happening then. Have yourself a good night.
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food. It's about keeping those ants in line. That's why we're going back. Does anybody else want to stay? Let's rock!